We have like 18 new things that Apple announced this week. It was like an Apple event that rolled out every morning for a little while. I'm going to list all the products, and then if anybody has anything they want to say about any one of them, let's talk about it. And I'm sure we'll be talking about them more too. So there was, in order of opening price, we have the iPhone 7 for $599. We have the iPhone 17e, the iPad Air M4, the MacBook Neo. Then we have at $1099 the MacBook Air M5. At $1599, I'm going to lump two things together, the 27-inch Studio Display and Studio Display XDR. The XDR is more. And then for $21.99, the MacBook Pro M5.
Yep.
So this is interesting. Like there's a story here, and I'm curious. Like, what jumps out at you, Adam?
The thing that jumps out at me is affordability. Apple really targeting the affordability portion of the market in a place where there's a lot of reasons why things shouldn't be affordable and why they shouldn't be able to do that. Specifically in tech, everything is being bought up by AI companies in terms of underlying technology, specifically RAM, which RAM prices have gone through the roof. And so what Apple's done here is not only have they delivered low price point entry-level products for consumers at a very affordable price compared to what else is going on in the rest of the market, but I think every one of them increased base storage, which is unbelievable when you consider NAND and RAM prices are going through the roof right now. And that's a testament to their long tail agreements and things. I'm sure it's got to be with suppliers. They have long-term contracts where they've mapped out, so they're much better able to weather the storm. And so it's funny to be saying this when we've known for years and years and years where, and I've been critical of this, I think other people on this show have been critical of it, Apple has kind of really gouged us for storage and RAM in the past. And now it's like a little flipped, especially with these new products. So it's impressive to see. And I think these are great offerings for people who are looking for a more affordable solution in technology right now. I think they're going to do really well with them, especially in the current market.
That's a good,
spot on. Yeah.
I agree. I'm curious about, so like, for example, the MacBook Neo it's the base price of $599 is with 256 gigs SSD. If you want 512, it's $100, so $699. But it's only 8 gigs of unified memory, which with the name Mac at the front sounds like a limitation, right? But you said something pre-show, Adam, that I thought was very prescient about the right way to look at what this machine is. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I said, I mean, here everybody's been asking for Mac OS on an iPad, and this is essentially it. I mean, you don't have the touch screen, but it's basically a notebook running Mac. You know, it's an iPad with a keyboard running Mac OS. And the other thing I'll say about it, to the point you were just making, Dave, is Apple, I don't know how much you saw in the marketing and the announcement of this, though. They're not targeting it at people that want to do Photoshop or video editing or whatever. They very specifically are like, this is for doing your documents, this is for surfing the web, this is for doing all the things that most people do. It's not, and so they've positioned it exactly right. Like, but if you're you're a student, or even like they're now in the territory of Chromebooks. And the educational price is $100 less. So if your education, you can get it for under $500. There's going to be schools, I bet, looking at these things in bulk for that, because they're very capable, with Mac OS and all the advantages that come with that, and they're right at the right price point.
Yep. I agree. This is like the perfect machine for most students. I don't want to say for every student,
Right. But for a lot.
For a lot.
I'd buy this for my daughters going to college. I mean, they're not doing video editing. They're not doing high end. I mean, it's going to edit photos fine, and a little bit of photo editing is going to be fine with what he's got. But its strength is being ultra light, ultra portable. It's got great battery life. Like 16 hours or something like that. It's going to get you through a day. You're not going to have problems with it. Like it seems great, and you're not shelling out $1,000, $1,500.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. The affordability is the kind of the mantra here, if you will. The unspoken mantra, maybe, is the right way to say it.
And the other thing I'll remind folks is if you've got ID.me as a first responder or veteran, and I think also an educator, you get 10. Well, you said it's $100 less for education, but it's still 10% off, which is $60 off.
Yeah,
for the others. This is an interesting looking little piece of gear. Yeah.
Yep.
It's the gateway drug to Apple, as they call it. So.
But for some people, it's the only drug they need. Like,
right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's brilliant.
I mean, it's effectively half the price of an Air.
It is. Yeah.
And now you're not. I think the Air is coming with more. Is it coming with more base storage now than this one? Or I don't remember the configs on the.
So the configs on the
Air.
Yeah, the configs on the Air are different, and I will just in comparing the first two things we talked about, the 17E and the iPhone 17e, which is $100 more with the extra storage to go from. Or sorry, the MacBook Neo is $100 more to go from 256 to 512 gig storage.
Yep.
The iPhone 17e is $200 for the same storage bump. So just bear that in mind, which is an interesting thing. It almost makes me feel like the storage bump on this is something that Apple is treating as maybe a loss leader or a not a profit center. I don't like, who knows? Like, it's all there, but yeah. It's, and the Air's $1,099 for the 13-inch to start, and that's with the 10-core CPU, 8-core GPU. $1,199. Go ahead, Adam.
What's the storage and memory on that one, though?
So, well, let's get there because it's an interesting path on how you get to storage and memory. So it's $100 bump if you want to go to the 10-core GPU from the 8-core GPU. However, you need to take that $100 bump if you want to go above 16 gigs of RAM. 16, so for your $1,099, you get the 13-inch with the 8-core GPU and 16 gigs of RAM. If you want to bump up to 24 gigs of RAM, you must jump to the 10-core GPU. But it's only a $200 bump total to get you from 8-core GPU, 16 gigs of RAM, 10-core GPU, 24 gigs of RAM. It's $1,299 for that. So it's an interesting. I think we've always sort of understood that these 8-core GPUs are really 10-core GPUs that didn't pass their specs, right? I don't want to say that's definitively true about these, but in previous models, people have looked at them and when the M1 first came out or whatever it was, when there was an option, people are like, wait, these are the same chips. It's just they're just turning on 2 less GPUs, which probably means they didn't spec out when they came off the assembly line.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, that's very common in the industry.
It's very common.
Binning is what they call it.
Binning. That's it. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. So $1,299 though for a MacBook Air with 24 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. So you're not starting with 256 gigs of storage on that, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to increase your storage, certainly you can. You can go up, but your storage. At the binning conversation happens again, you got to jump to that 10-core GPU machine, and then to go from 512 gigs to 1 terabyte, it's another $100. That's it. So they're not gouging you for those increases. So, for example, the Air that I would want to get minimally would be let's see, it's a $2,400, $200 thing, yada yada. What's this going to cost? Where are the prices here? Eventually, they're going to tell me what I'm going to spend. $14.99 for a terabyte of storage and 24 gigs of RAM, which really isn't.
That's a rocking machine. I mean,
it's a rocking machine. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that obviates the need for the Pro, in my humble opinion, with an M5 chip. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And if you want to do the same thing with a refurb M4, it's $11.89. So you're saving what, $210 or so, $310 rather. So, yeah. Which is a big difference on a $1,500 computer to save $310 to get the M5 versus the M4. It might make sense for a lot of people.
Yeah, what do you need that M5 chip for? I guess you have to ask.
That's the question you'd ask yourself.
But
yeah,
I still go back to buying my first Apple Silicon computer because I had a 2018, I think, MacBook Pro 16-inch with, I forget which IBM chip was in it, but IBM Intel chip was in it. And my nephew showed up at the house with a little M1 MacBook Air, and he smoked me on all the benchmark tests. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
for sure. Yeah.
M4, M5, whatever it takes.
So what was the total price on that Air that you would configure out?
$1,500, $14.99 with.
This is where Apple gets you.
I know, because you paid $200 for something that you only paid $100 for the day before.
And now compare that to the $16.99 base model Pro.
I thought the base. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, the base model Pro. Why did I say $21.99 in my initial? I might have been looking at the wrong thing.
Which the base model gets you a liquid Retina XDR display, 10 core, so 10 core CPU, 10 core GPU, 16 gigs unified memory, 1 terabyte of storage.
Correct.
So it's like Apple does this thing where you start ramping up like an Air, and then it kind of gets really close to the next level up, and it's like, oh, it's a couple $100 more. That's how I ended up. I was fully intended in my last Mac to get an Air, and then when I configured it out, what got me was the display, because it was like $200 more bucks to get like the
amazing display.
Yeah, the XDR display, which brings 120
so
hertz refresh rate and
comparing the two models that I would buy, right? So the 24 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte of storage. The Air is $14.99. The 13-inch Air is $14.99. And the 14-inch Pro is $18.99.
Yeah, so it gets you $400 more. So that is a significant difference.
Yeah, it's significant. But, there you go. So, I know. Yeah, it's the same chip, right? It's the same 10 core,
same
10
chip.
core. But the thermals are different on the Pro. As I have learned doing podcasts from the road on my M2 Air, my M1 desktop machine handles it better than my M2 Air with more RAM, right? So there's the thermals on the Air when you're doing that kind of work do make a difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yep. And I don't know about, I mean, we haven't tested the thermals on the new M5 Air yet. So maybe not as much of a difference, but like that would be the hesitation for me. I always thought, I'm forever an Air person. And after, recent on the road experience, it's like, well, like it works, but there's always this weird thing happening. So
it'll be interesting. Speaking of that, it'll be interesting to see how the Neo does, because it doesn't have any active cooling. But remember, it is an iPhone chip in a much larger aluminum chassis, and also it's likely not going to hit that thermal throttle like an Air would.
Right.
So it'll be really interesting to see how the two benchmark out against each other.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah. We'll have to start looking at Geekbench numbers to see if all the reviewers are reporting them upstream yet. So, yeah, you're right. Yep. Interesting. Yeah.
Good stuff.